Have you ever faced a moment that changed everything? A loss, a new path, or an awakening that forced you to rewrite your life? Pivot Point is a podcast that explores those stories. I'm Nick Michael. We'll dive into how pain can spark growth and how crisis leads to clarity. Subscribe to Pivot Point today. My guest today is Amy Collette. Amy helps speakers, coaches, and entrepreneurs become authors by guiding them through the process of turning their lived experience, insight, and hard-earned wisdom into impactful nonfiction books. Through personalized book coaching and her Unleash Your Inner Author curriculum and community, Amy supports aspiring authors from start to finish, not just with structure and strategy, but with encouragement, clarity, and belief in their voice. Is there a defining pivot point in your life that you'd like to begin with today?
So I start with them with thinking about becoming an author. That's why I call my program Unleash Your Inner Author. It's not just writer, it's author. Like, you're going to put this story out there for other folks. So it's changing that identity, right? It's getting that idea planted in their head early.
Yes.
So that they talk
being an
about
author.
that. But yeah, also to say, hey, you don't have to tell everything. It's not an autobiography from the moment you were born till now, right? It's curated. And so that's what I help them do, is curate exactly the message that they want to share that's going to help their audience, their readers, get to where they need to be.
See, that's exactly why I think everyone working with you is so fortunate. And I mean that sincerely, because
Thank you so much.
I know the type of person you're referring to: the overthinker, the attention to detail, the ruminating thoughts, almost the obsessive type of personality that needs to start from the beginning and get to the end, and feels that important need not to leave anything out. And when they start working in isolation, they get stuck along the way because nothing is going to come out perfect. And if they're the type that needs perfection or has a high standard, let's just say high standard, they usually trip over their own feet. And then it becomes a long Odyssey journey. I think of the Odyssey and I think of the Iliad and the long journey that was taken to get back home, to get to when everything was done. And then realizing I didn't need to do it that much. Where were you when I needed you? I didn't see you, or I found you, but I ignored you, meaning your program. And then I didn't take the step and I should have done it sooner. And that whole loop begins again. And then you're telling them, well, you're respectfully telling them, everything you've written is great. And then you're saying, you don't have to, you have to rewrite it. And then they're getting obsessed over now having to redo that. And then there's a release and a relief finally from them when they can surrender. You're right. I will do it that way. And then it just flows. I can just see it. And I saw it with that person you had done that. You're listening to Pivot Point: Strategy for Change. If today's conversation resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It truly helps others find the show and supports the work we're doing here online with, which was amazing. I thought that was amazing. Her process over the 6-month period was unbelievable. So I'm going to go back to that. That's what a true coach does. Again, you're using therapeutic methods probably naturally because you've experienced it and done it. But your goal is always the same. I need to get you to write and to tap into that inner author that you are. So embrace that, and accept that you're now. It's like when teachers start becoming teachers, they're in training, or clinicians when they have to embrace, now I'm the expert. I'm not an imposter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stepping in, embrace, this is who I am. Take the critique. You see, that's the hard part for many. It's the critique, but your manner and your approach is just spot on with all of that. So if you could go back and speak to the Amy who was lying awake at night, heart pounding with fear, imagining the worst, what would you tell her now about what was about to unfold? Here you are years later.
Yeah, I think that's a great technique, is to kind of, write from your older self to your younger self, and vice versa.
No, it's again, therapeutic again.
It is a therapeutic device that works beautifully. I would, to go back to one of your previous questions, I would say, you could have been open to something sooner, asking for help sooner. That's always great advice. And I'm sure that's something that you think about in your work too, where you see people wait and wait and suffer for months or years before they reach out to you for some therapy, some talking it out and just feeling a little bit better. So yeah, that's what I would say. Hey, Amy, it's going to be okay. you know, but the thing is that I didn't expect at that time was that I was kind of so far down in my rut that I couldn't see out. I couldn't see what was possible. Like I said, I just wanted to feel a little incrementally better. And what happened was I found a whole new way of being, a way of getting back to myself and even improving on that. That can be an ongoing process. It's not like you ever get there. It's
It is. It's a
personal
journey.
development and spiritual growth and all those things are an ongoing commitment to yourself, to it's a self-love that you continue to do daily if you can. Like I said, big believer in habits and that daily practice that gets you incrementally to a place you couldn't even imagine. So I couldn't imagine having the life that I have now back then when I was suffering through that. And, just the impact that gratitude would have on my life. So, if anybody's suffering right now and they're thinking it's going to just be like this forever, that perspective that things generally get better is really great to have when you're feeling like that. And you can just try that gratitude practice for a couple of minutes, couple of times a day, and see what happens.
You're listening to Pivot Point Strategy for Change. If today's conversation resonated with you, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. It truly helps others find the show and supports the work we're doing here. You can find Pivot Point Strategy for Change on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like a deeper dive into the work we explore on the show, I invite you to visit my Substack page, where I share in-depth articles and reflections.